talk to Senator Draheim, who
Yep.
is a Republican senator and has been with the Minnesota Congress, I should say, Minnesota Legislature for almost 10 years
Yep.
now. And because he's reaching that 10-year kind of limit for himself, he's planning on retiring because he's putting kind of a term limit on himself. Minnesota doesn't have term limits. So this is really kind of an interesting, unique perspective from him. First, could you explain what term limits are and why a senator or a representative would actually want that when it's kicking them out of office?
Yeah. So term limits we see a lot more on national levels and that, not a lot of state levels, but there are some state governments that do have term limits. Minnesota does not have them. And so Senator Draheim, what was different about his release, and as you know, we've had 11, 12 lawmakers say they are retiring after the next session. They're not going to run for re-election in 2026. And they're really giving the heads up. Well, Senator Draheim, when he made his announcement, what was different is he said, I believe in term limits. When Senator Draheim first started, he was elected in 2016. Early in his tenure here at the Capitol, he introduced a bill for term limits. And he didn't have a magic number, like if it should be 10 years or 12 years, but he thought there should be discussion about this for the state of Minnesota legislature. Mm-hmm. It went nowhere. He says it fell flat. He says he couldn't get any support because none of the lawmakers would go for it. So he tried this bill. It didn't work, but it's been in the back of his mind for all 10 years. So like you said, he put his own term limit on his time in political office.
And has he brought up term limits again, or has anyone else brought it up since?
No. I asked him that. He said no, but 2026 is his last session. He wants to try again. He wants to introduce a bill, not necessarily that it gets passed. He doesn't think it'll pass again. He won't have any support. He thinks there at least needs to be a discussion. Is this a path that Minnesota should look at? And I'll tell you why he believes in term limits. His reasoning really is because he feels as lawmakers, after so much time, the job becomes routine. He used the term robotic. You start making decisions like a robot. And is that really the best thing for Minnesota? So yeah, it's interesting. I don't think even if he does introduce it, it's going to go anywhere again. He says he doesn't even think he'll get a hearing. So that's where it is. And really, it's not an issue because nobody's for it. Nobody wants to even have the discussion. But I credit Senator Draheim. He's going to try because he thinks in his heart it's the best thing for state lawmakers.